Hello, and welcome back to Mass Effect 3.2. As hopefully most of you know, this is my campaign and proposal to BioWare to remake Mass Effect 3, fixing the flaws in the game with the ideas I have outlined in this proposal. My last videos have covered Ashley to Liara, and this video will focus mostly on Miranda because I had some issues with her, and I'll briefly go over Mordin as well. So, let's get started. Miranda Lawson. I loved her role throughout the game, until the end. It's fitting that she should not be on Shepard's squad, as her true loyalty is to the welfare of her sister, and Shepard does not have time to go flying around the galaxy chasing Miranda's leads. However, as with other characters that become war assets, I feel like she should have had a bigger impact on the story. After the mission to Sanctuary, if Miranda survived, she could send Oriana to safety and then join Shepard on the Normandy, where she would be available for a quick dialogue, similar to the intervals where Rex, Mordin, Legion, etc. are on board. She knows that the Alliance is preparing an assault on Kronos Station and wants to be there for the fall of the Elusive Man. While on the Normandy, a romance Miranda could visit Shepard in his quarters en route to Kronos Station, similar to the romance culmination scenes of squad members. She travels with Shepard, Edie, and whichever squad mate is chosen on the shuttle, but when it crashes and Cortez is forced to make repairs, she offers to stay behind and guard the shuttle and catch up with them later. Throughout the mission, she stays in radio contact with Shepard, similar to Rex staying in contact with Shepard during the mission on Surkesh. As Shepard and team walk up the flight of steps leading to the Elusive Man's office, Miranda rejoins them and is present for the final battle with Kai Lang, where she provides additional support with occasional warps and overloads, similar to Jack's students providing support during the Grissom Academy mission. When Kai Lang is perceived to be dead, I would change a very important aspect. Edie is standing behind Shepard's chair, or really, the Elusive Man's chair, with her back to Kai Lang's body, gazing over his shoulder and out of the window. If Miranda did not survive the suicide mission or Sanctuary, Kai Lang sneaks up behind Edie, as he would clearly be seen by her if he went for Shepard, and destroys her body before Shepard is able to silence him for good. Though she is still perfectly alive inside the Normandy, this would have a major impact on Joker, and it would prohibit Shepard from taking Edie on the final missions. If, however, Miranda survived the aforementioned events, she is present in the room and turns around just in time to see Kai Lang. She warns Shepard, putting Lang in a stasis field before he is able to destroy Edie's body. Shepard gets up and walks over to the frozen Kai Lang, and via Renegade Interrupt can stab him right there. Otherwise, he tells Kai Lang, "There's no way you can win against the four of us. Surrender or I will be forced to kill you," or something like that. When Lang is released from the stasis field, he flings himself at Shepard, and Shepard stabs him. Either way, Shepard can still have his epic "that was for Thane" line. If she survived, here's Miranda's big impact, as well as the Elusive Man's fatal mistake. Edie is able to determine the frequency the Elusive Man is using to coordinate his forces, and being in the master control room of all Cerberus forces, is able to cut off that frequency, prohibiting radio contact. After this is accomplished, Miranda approaches a radio in the office and announces, in a dramatic way similar to Liara replacing the Shadow Broker, "All units, this is Operative Miranda Lawson. The Elusive Man has been removed, and I have taken control of all Cerberus forces, effective immediately." And then, after a dramatic pause, "Cease fire against Alliance forces and return to port. That's an order." This would be immediately followed by Shepard radioing Admiral Hackett requesting a ceasefire against Cerberus vessels. Miranda would then turn to Shepard and say, "You'll have full access to all Cerberus assets against the Reapers, Shepard. Just say the word." The mission would then end, and Cerberus war assets would be added in the Normandy's war room. In the long run, Miranda would turn Cerberus around as a force for good, and Cerberus would become an organization similar to the Solarian Special Tasks Group, or the Asari Huntresses, etc., as Miranda once compared Cerberus to them during Mass Effect 2. And I'll quickly go over Mordin here. Brilliant. In my opinion, it is one of the most emotional deaths in gaming history. I wouldn't change a thing there. Okay, so back to Miranda. I did enjoy the interactions with her throughout the game. You had several dialogue conversations with her at various parts of the game, and I thought it was enjoyable. It was sort of this thing that I always knew was going to happen next. You know, I really enjoyed it when she sent me an email, and I'm like, oh good, I get to talk to Miranda again, you know, see how she's doing, how her investigation into her sister's safety is going. They were just fun interactions, fun conversations. which is why I don't think she should return to the squad. Of course, the main reason is that her true loyalty, like I said, is to the welfare of her sister, and Shepard does not have time to go flying around the galaxy chasing her leads. I think that's very important. She doesn't have a real reason to rejoin the Normandy, even though, depending on your choices during the trilogy, she may have gotten pretty close to you as Shepard. She just doesn't have time to go with you on your all-important quest. She's got her family's safety to take care of, and she's just about ready to take down her father. He's been annoying her for too long, and she needs to really focus on that, especially now that he's working with Cerberus and the Elusive Man. So I know that her not returning to the squad was a big disappointment to a lot of players, but I still think it's necessary that she does not rejoin the squad, and, you know, she still gets her big impact, which will hopefully make her role enjoyable, and a good romance scene at the end. Even if she isn't on the squad, she's still there en route to Chrono Station, so why not have a final romance scene? And I think that should satisfy most people who were disappointed with her not being on the squad. So, the mission on Chrono Station. I don't think it's necessary for her to actually be with your squad the entire time. It would be a little easier just to say that she guarded the shuttle, because it is kind of odd that Cortez is just sitting there with no one around to guard him, trying to make repairs to the shuttle. So it would make sense for her to stay there, and then she's been to Chrono Station several times, at least, because we've seen her in direct contact with the Elusive Man. So we can assume that she knows some shortcuts through the station, so that's how she's able to catch up with you in time, right before the final battle with Kai Lang. And speaking of that battle, her assistance with the warps and overloads, I would definitely like that. I really like that during the Grissom Academy mission. It was fun to see the students helping you. You might be pointing your gun at a Cerberus soldier, and all of a sudden he flies up because one of the students deployed a pull field. And it was pretty cool. It was realistic, and I liked it. So I feel like there could be something similar there. And I'm not sure exactly how difficult that would be to program, if that would require a lot of recoding or programming or anything like that. But it would be pretty freaking helpful, because that was a really hard battle against Kai Lang and the Cerberus forces that were deployed. So I would definitely appreciate Miranda's formidable assistance in that. And then Kai Lang, I want to make sure that everyone can visualize that scene correctly. After Kai Lang is perceived to be dead, you have EDI and whichever squad mate you chose kind of pacing back and forth and looking out the window with the big star, and there's a battle going outside between Cerberus and the Alliance, and Shepard is sitting in the Elusive Man's chair. That moment I would change. EDI would be standing directly behind the chair, so that if you can picture this, when Kai Lang picks himself up and starts dragging himself forward, if he tried to stab Shepard, EDI would literally be right next to him. He couldn't try to kill Shepard without her noticing. And so he knows this, and because of this, he decides to go for EDI instead, because he wants to harm the Alliance in some way. And it would be rather personal too, because, you know, EDI was a Cerberus asset before she reprogrammed herself and joined the Alliance. And so because Kai Lang is sort of the next Cerberus pawn, it's like he's getting back at her and destroying his predecessor in a way. So yeah, that would be nice and personal. And of course it wouldn't happen if Miranda was there. She'd put Lang in the stasis field and the mission would go on from there. And then if Miranda becomes head of Cerberus and those assets are added in the Normandy's war room, I would assume that the war asset title would change from ex-Cerberus just to Cerberus. And all the war assets you acquired previously would still be in that section, including Jacob and Dr. Cole and all those different things, except they would be part of Cerberus now rather than ex-Cerberus. And I have to credit that idea of Miranda becoming head of Cerberus. I've got to credit that to Archangia. I believe I'm saying that correctly. His videos on YouTube are remarkable. He does lots of reviews for different games, but he's got this particular series focusing on Mass Effect 3 and his thoughts and the potential it could have had. And that's where I got the idea for Miranda to become head of Cerberus, which is really a brilliant idea. So I applaud him on that. I think it's a great and fitting end for her to replace the Elusive Man. And it would make sense for her as well. And it would be realistic, because the Elusive Man leaving Chrono Station, that was big. That was a big mistake for him, because here we are, Shepard and team in that room in Chrono Station. This is the master control room of all Cerberus forces. EDI finds a way to cut off the frequency that he's using to coordinate his forces, and Miranda takes over instead. And you can almost see the elusive man shouting in frustration because he realized how stupid he's been. Now all of his Cerberus forces are gone. He's literally just one man, and so then he has his confrontation with Shepard at the end, and it's just him alone, and there's no Cerberus to back him up, either because Cerberus was destroyed if Miranda died, or because Cerberus is now with Miranda. So, I believe that's all I have to say about Miranda. Let me know in the comments section what your thoughts were. Give me your feedback. If you noticed any errors in the document, either typographical or something that could create a plot hole later on, let me know. And I'll see you with the next video, which I believe will be focusing on Samara / Mordin. So again, I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.